Hey guys, first of all, I do apologize if you hear any vroom sounds or a big vroom sound because those are going to be notifications coming in from Facebook Messenger, my bank, text messaging, you name it, notifications, you name it. So I do apologize about that in advance. But I wanted to come on here because recently Rowdy C, Chris Lee Moore, had re-uploaded one of his classic episodes from 10 years ago. Now, it is an episode I saw originally back in 2015, where it was part of what he called the deconstruction or deconstructing the Disney Afternoon. It was a little series he did that looked at the, mediocre to worst additions to the Disney Afternoon that anybody could have ever seen or dreamt of. And, when he gets to the next one he's got planned, believe me, I don't disagree with him in the fact that, that edition, the one he's going to get to tomorrow, or re-upload tomorrow from 10 years ago, the one he's going to get to tomorrow in a re-upload, I don't blame him for, being, upset in that manner with that cartoon, because I think everybody feels the same way. It's like, what was Disney thinking? But the one he did start out with was Bonkers. And I remember when I first saw it, I did respond to him, kind of filling in the gaps for him when it came to Bonkers and, the history with the character and everything and the behind the scenes issues. And he appreciated that. He did. I think he put that in his description. And my finger just hit the mic there. But anyway, it got me rewatching the re-upload the other day. It got me thinking, why not talk about it yourself? Why not talk about it yourself and everything? And most importantly, talk about why new partners on the block, once again, because I've talked about it before, but to really update you guys, why new partners on the block is vividly important and why I am glad Disney Plus added it, even with warnings before it, added it to the lineup, of the Bonkers cartoon on the streaming service. You see, first a little bit of history. Bonkers, when Bonkers began, he was part of a compilation of variety Saturday morning cartoon series on CBS called Raw Toonage. This is how a lot of us got to know him and his friends. It was basically a CBS Disney-fied version, I guess you could say, of Saturday Night Live. That's basically what it could be, I guess you could say, compared to. Now, with that said, basically, it was during this time that Disney was also developing a spin-off series for Bonkers, where he would be, seen as a cop and teamed with a partner called Miranda Wright. Now, unfortunately, when Disney, this is what's been reported throughout the years. From a behind-the-scenes standpoint, from interviews to blogs to discussions all about, especially with certain people in the business, basically what happened is that when the Bonkers Miranda episodes came back, 19 of them were okay. 19 of them were passable, and those are the 19 we saw during the syndicated run. And 9 of them were used as a part of the sneak preview in the spring of 1993. Unfortunately, the other 42, or not 42, but the other 44, the other 46, excuse me there. Unfortunately, the other 46 did not come off, I guess you could say, so well. Because basically, from what reports are, production, animation, animatics, WIP, anything, you can relate to working on something, and trying to get it done, 42 of those episodes were in that category of not being good. We thought it was animatics, they were work in progress, they were close to being done. They were not, they did not basically come off very well. And most of it had to be done, most of it was at the fault, apparently, of the animation. Like the animatic animation did not look good. The work in progress animation did not look good. The finalizing and the coloring animation did not look good. Basically, the animation for those 46 episodes of the Miranda Bonkers run, of what was going to be the Miranda Bonkers run, did not come off good. And they were being done overseas. So, what did Disney do? Well, Disney decided that they did not want to give up on the Bonkers cartoon. And they knew they couldn't just have a Bonkers cartoon in syndication. It was only 19 episodes and that's it. I mean, you're pretty much done with that in less than a month. You need something that's going to, keep you going for at least 65 days, 65 weekdays, if you know what I mean. So what did they do? Well, they decided to fill in 4 of those 46 slots with compilation episodes of the He's Bonkers cartoons from Raw Toonage, along with some new footage. That new footage would depict Bonkers in, several different little mini segments of If or My Cartoon, and Bonkers' design would be completely different from what you would see in Raw Toonage or you saw in the Miranda episodes. Because the design they gave Bonkers for this would be known as his Lucky Piquel episode, design. It was Lucky Piquel design, if you will. Because the other idea that they did is they brought in a new team and they revamped the other 42 episodes to be the Lucky Piquel episodes, to be darker and grittier and more, I guess you could say, down to earth, more realistic to an extent, but with a cartoony feel. And also what it did, and people do praise it for it, is it gave Bonkers an origin story of how he became a cop. Because if there's one question fans probably had watching the sneak peeks on Disney Channel, is how did he become a cop? How did this happen? So that's one thing they give him praise for, because what the origin story does, the pilot does, which is called Going Bonkers, which I do have the uncut version of because they cut out a few moments here and there from the syndicated run, if you will. But what the pilot does is it connects, from a lore and continuity standpoint, it connects the He's Bonkers cartoons to the series itself, to show that before he became a cop, that what you were watching on Raw Toonage, that was his career before he became a cop. Pretty much by doing so, they gave those shorts, which again later on became 4 compilation episodes of the series. They gave those shorts importance. They gave those shorts meaning, so that way if you watch them for the first time later on, you could be like, oh, this is his acting career before he became a cop. And what's unique about it is how they actually tie it in, because one of the things we see Bonkers doing before him and his friends' world gets turned upside down, one of the things we see him and his friends doing is filming an animated short. And that short, ironically, is the one that introduced everybody to Bonkers and his pals in the first place in a theatrical-like manner. That short was Petal to the Metal. That's right, it was Petal to the Metal, like rose petal, flower petal, that. Petal to the Metal. That's what it was. And I like that little callback there because, again, it is the cartoon, it is the short, that if you went to go see Three Ninjas Kick Back, you saw before that movie. You saw before that movie even, came on. It was basically a featurette mini cartoon, if you will, shown in theaters. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, it was a nice little callback. And then that's how basically the Bonkers Lucky Run, if you will, of the series began. And yes, it did take inspiration from Roger Rabbit, but that's how, because of the relationship between Bonkers and Lucky, but that's how it began. That's how it started out. And for 42 episodes, outside of the 4 compilation He's Bonkers episodes, for 42 episodes, it was all about Lucky and Bonkers. Now, what's interesting about one of those episodes is, I don't know what episode it's called, I don't know what the episode title is, but Miranda does make a cameo as the receptionist. That's right, the receptionist of the chief. And we can only assume, based off what we see in New Partners on the Block, that she was probably placed there. By her boss, Sergeant Grady. We can only assume. But anyway, basically, she does make a cameo as his receptionist. She does do that. And then I think several episodes later, we would get New Partners on the Block. But here's what's interesting. When you would watch it originally, when you would watch the series, trying to find what to say. When you would watch the series in its original run, on syndication on the Disney afternoon, here's what was interesting. Before New Partners on the Block, we got the first of the 4 He's Bonkers shorts. And that basically would tell you, because they did it again later on when they repeated New Partners like once or twice more. Because I think they re-aired it like once or twice more before it got taken off due to the Oklahoma City situation, and all that. And even before that, we had the World Trade situation. But obviously that didn't affect it because I think the World Trade thing happened, before the show aired? I have to go back and look. But anyway, basically, it didn't affect it as much until we got to Oklahoma City. And I think after the second rerun of the episode, that was the last time we would see it. And what that did, unfortunately, for New Partners, is it left a big gap opening and making people wonder, okay, how did this change happen? Now, and there are people that did this, because I actually got in contact with somebody that sent me the episode themselves so I can record it to DVD and everything, and I sent it back to them. Basically, the only way you knew that there was a change was if you recorded the episode initially when it first debuted. Now, with that said, getting on point here, before New Partners happened, you had the first of the He's Bonkers shorts, and you would know New Partners was going to be the next episode, especially when they reran this, because if you saw that come on, you knew New Partners was going to happen. You knew New Partners was right around the corner, and lo and behold, there it was. But unfortunately, thanks to the, like I said, thanks to the Oklahoma bombings and then coupled with, what happened years prior, that was enough for a lot of places, a lot of studios to take down very trigger-sensitive episodes from the lineup. And Bonkers was not alone in this. He wasn't. Tailspin dealt with it, with a couple of their episodes like Flying Dupes and such. I think Rescue Rangers dealt with it. Darkwing Duck had episodes where they were trigger sensitive, and he's dealt with it. So there was a lot of episodes that, due to sensitivity, because of the tragedies that happened at that time and what happened later on, a lot of episodes would basically be taken down for the time being. It wouldn't be until later on when the Disney Plus would come into existence, and as well as the physical release of a lot of these shows in complete form or semi-complete form, where we would see the episodes again. But they would have, especially with Disney Plus, they would have warnings on them. They would have warnings of, hey, certain episodes are going to contain sensitive materials or sensitive subjects. And okay, fine, it's understandable that they have to put that, but even though it's understandable they have to put that, it's still good to at least know that they've realized that, hey, a lot of the audience that watched this back then, they're grown up, they're more understanding, they're going to want to see it again, they'll understand if we put these warnings and all that. So, as long as we get to see it, I don't think any of us would be mad at getting some sensitive warnings, some warnings and all that before the episode comes on. But yeah, it was after all that took place, and even afterwards, that a lot of Disney afternoon episodes that dealt with this kind of subject were basically removed from the run, removed from the lineups, from the cycle, if you will. And again, I don't blame them for doing that, because these are sensitive subjects, from a, very personal standpoint. We know that. But because of what happened in Oklahoma City, that second rerun of New Partners on the Block ended up being the last one. But again, the reason I bring this up is because for anybody that's wondering why it's so important, it's important because when they took it out the first time because of what happened, you got basically everything rerunning exactly as it would rerun. Especially you get Ski Patrol, right? You get the first of the He's Bonkers shorts that has Ski Patrol, Bonkers in Space, and Raining Dogs and Drain Pipes or something like that. Anyway, Anyway, you knew you were going to get that before new partners. But now, instead of getting new partners, you go from that to the Miranda episode, Witless Protection. Witless Protection. But even that got taken off due to trigger sensitive issues. That got taken out due to trigger sensitive issues. So you went from, basically the He's Bonkers to Witless Protection to that being taken away. So you went from Bonkers, or the He's Bonkers shorts with Ski Patrol, Bonkers in Space, and Draining Cats and Dogs. You went from all that, to having new partners taken out, then Witless taken out, to now you had, I think, the episode basically, where they are escorting this stiff-lipped Sullivan guy to the courts and everything to find out what happened to these diamonds and all that, if you will. That, you went from basically the original lineup to new partners is gone, then Witless to this, and you're like, okay, what's going on here? So that's basically how things were for a while. But thankfully, like I said, when Disney Plus came around, they realized, hey, we got to put this in here. The audience is old enough. They know what's happened or why we took it off. And just in case, we'll add in some trigger warnings and sensitive warnings and all that because of the subject and everything. And that's what they did. They added in those warnings and everything because of the subject at hand. That's what they did. They added those in because of the sensitive subject. But yeah, He's Bonker. But yeah, New Partners on the Block is very, very important because basically without it, you're left wondering, okay, why does he have a new partner? And that's the one thing people were wondering for a while. If they were new to the show and they saw it later on and not during its initial run, they were wondering, okay, what happened to Lucky? Like, why does he have a new partner? Who's this Miranda girl? What's going on? They wouldn't know anything about what happened unless they looked it up online or they heard it from people that saw the show originally when it first came out. So, that would be the only way they would know about anything that occurred, occurred in the show as to why the change happened. That'd be the only way. Either they looked up the information or they would find out from somebody that watched it originally when it first came out. And that was about it. But with that said, New Partners is very, very important because of the fact that it is one of those rare transitional mid-season finales where a character in animation or live action show leaves the show for good. And that's mainly because of the fact that in live action, the actor or the actress wants to go on and do other things, or there's a dispute and they're like, hey, I'll agree to do this, but then I want out. And they would do it, and that would be about it. And sometimes the character would be written out in a very tragic manner. This happened in Boy Meets World. This happened in the revise of Roseanne, which became the Connors, and so on. This has all happened because of either, them wanting out or because of other reasonings, beyond their control. So basically, these changes would occur, and they would give some kind of explanation later on as to what happened. And usually, like I said, it'd be a very tragic one. But here, it was more along the lines of Lucky's been wanting a promotion. He got his first promotion from being just a patrol officer to a detective to now he wants another promotion to get out of the Toon division, right? He wants to do, something bigger. He wants to be like a private eye and so on and whatever, a sergeant. So he finally gets that promotion here, and that's one way they rolled him out, by giving him his promotion, but giving it to him in a way that it comes from someone that's not the chief. Instead, it comes from a higher district, that being the FBI in Washington, D.C. So he gets his promotion, and Bonkers ends up getting a new partner in Miranda Wright, who gets promoted from being a receptionist to a full-on officer. So there you go. Pretty cool. But yeah, basically, it's a very important episode because, again, you need these kind of episodes to happen in a way to kind of explain why the changes happened, just in case someone might be new to the party and watching the show. And the other thing too is to establish, the fact that you're going to get the characters associated with Bonkers from the Heath Bonkers cartoons on a semi-regular, if not regular basis, in the form of Fondier, his love interest girlfriend, if you will, his reluctant BFF, Jitters a dog, and his kind of frenemy Grumbles bear, or Grumbles grizzly, if you will. You are going to get them showing up on a regular, if not semi-regular basis, cameo, speaking roles, you name it. That was another reason why this was important, because it was going to reestablish them as the main cast again over Fall Apart, over Toots, and all of them. They were going to be reestablished, if you will. So basically when you get down to it, New Partners on the Block being a transitional mid-season finale definitely, has a lot of importance to the show, because it basically explains and fills in the gap as to how Bonkers, went to having Miranda as his partner, originally, because that's how it was planned out with the original show, with the original cartoon, before the behind-the-scenes fiasco. That's how it was originally planned out, I should say. That's how it was originally supposed to be. And then, of course, like I said, the whole behind-the-scenes fiasco happened, and they had to change course, they had to change direction, they had to pivot, and we got what we got. So they knew to kind of answer that question of, okay, wait a minute, he had Miranda as a partner in the sneak peek. Who's this guy? What's going on? And basically, within the 42nd episode, we get the answer. So, anyway, that's why it's confusing and convoluted as that sounded. That's why the Bonkers episode, the transitional mid-season finale, New Partners on the Block, has importance to the show. Why it holds importance to the show, and its history as to why it was basically removed from syndication, because of real life situations, and those real life situations being very, basically being portrayed in a fictional way, being very trigger sensitive to those that would watch. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. Shout out to Rowdy C of TV Trash. Check out his channel. I think you'll enjoy what you see, especially his re-uploads of his classic shows or classic episodes. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys, down below. What did you think when you first saw New Partners on the Block initially? What were your thoughts on it? What were your thoughts on it when basically, if you were new to watching Bonkers, what were your thoughts on it when all of a sudden you went from Lucky to Miranda? Were you wondering, what's going on here? And let me know how you found out. Love to hear your thoughts and everything. Comment down below, live chat during the premiere, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. Also, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere. You can find me at all your favorite audio video podcast affiliates like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Audible from Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, Radio Public, Overcast. You can find me there, or anywhere that has a podcast, you'll find me. You can also find me, ladies and gentlemen, at rumble.com at bwrosas. You can find me at vmo.com at bwrosas. You can find me at odyssey.com at bwrosas.5. You can also find me at my Teespring store. You can also find me at my Teespring store. Get merchandise there you can't get anywhere else. You can find me at patreon.com at bwrosas. You can also find me, ladies and gentlemen, at Venmo and Cash App. Help support the channel and the brand there. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, aka X, at bwrosas, Blue Sky at bwrosas, and at TikTok at bwrosas. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are overall. Again, let me know how you first viewed this. Did you see, and I do apologize for the notification there. Did you see the episode when it first came out? Did you have kind of the question of like what's going on and everything? What were your thoughts? And until next time, guys, I will talk to you all later. God bless. Take care.